Smarties. Today we are talking about one of the hidden and often overlooked elements of educational therapy, which is bandwidth. Bandwidth is the mental energy one has to devote to a certain task, and understanding bandwidth in relationship to school, learning, and studenting is critical in the educational therapy process. In this episode, we explore the impact of bandwidth. We want to take a moment and thank you, Smarties, for your support over the years for us here at Learn Smarter Podcast. We have been podcasting consistently and weekly since May of 2018. We say that a lot because we're proud of it. And the way that you guys and our audience shows support through us in our emails, in supporting the work that we do, and in our Patreon really does not go ignored. If you are interested in supporting our mission here at Learn Smarter Podcast, which is to expand awareness and access to the work that we do as educational therapists, go ahead and take a look at our Patreon. For $5 a month, you can sign up and support the work that we do. And as a thank you, we share extended interviews, extra content, and special things. And oftentimes we'll share virtual speaking engagements that we do over there exclusively as well. You can sign up for our Patreon at www.patreon.com/LearnSmarterPodcast. Thanks, Smarties. Let's dig in.
You want to learn faster, but sometimes working harder is just not the answer. You have to learn smarter. The Educational Therapy Podcast.
Hi, Smarties. Welcome to episode 361 of Learn Smarter, the Educational Therapy Podcast. I'm Stephanie Pitts.
And I'm Rachel Kapp.
And today we're talking about some bandwidth.
It's apropos of the time of year that we're recording this episode. So we're recording this episode in like the final few days of April of 2025. And we're feeling it. We're feeling it as educational therapists. Our learners are feeling it in our practices. Our teams are feeling it. So we thought this is the perfect opportunity to have a conversation about bandwidth, because I think it's actually really important as the educational therapist, as a learning specialist, to examine the impact that bandwidth is having on our learners' ability to learn and to student.
Yeah.
And we're going to do an episode in the future on what studenting is, because that might be a new term for some of our audience. But what did you want to add, Steph?
Let's not forget the bandwidth of parents. We've got the bandwidth also of teachers, right? But the bandwidth of parents and what you are tolerating, what you can still tolerate just to get to the end of the school year, and making some decisions about what's important and what's not important at this moment, at this juncture in time, because it's very hard if you have been sprinting to keep sprinting.
So this is a perfect opportunity to sort of examine what bandwidth is. And we said in the intro of this episode, it's the mental energy one has to devote to a task. By the end of the year, after spring break, you're really starting to see that come to fruition for everybody involved in the life cycle of an academic school year. So we see it a couple of times. We see it between Thanksgiving and winter break. There's often bandwidth issues.
Yep.
You'll see it around this time of year. And then on the flip side, you'll see full and complete bandwidth in August, at the end of summer, once learners, parents, teachers, anybody involved in the life cycle of a student, the academic life cycle, let's just say, everybody is coming in refreshed. So what you'll see from learners who have a ton of bandwidth at the beginning of the year is bravado about their own learning. And this is the year things are going to be different for me.
Yeah.
And Steph and I just always kind of giggle and laugh whenever we see that, because we all know nothing changes if nothing changes.
Couldn't be more true.
Right? So we wanted to have this conversation because bandwidth has a tremendous impact on learners positively and negatively. Steph, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to just say that this is also bandwidth. It's school bandwidth. It's the emotional bandwidth. It's the physical bandwidth, right? There's multiple parts of this, of like what you can, as a student, as a parent, as a teacher, as a therapist, what you can keep going. And this is when we really talk about the metacognition of what do you have bandwidth for and what is taking away from your bandwidth that shouldn't be taking away. Like, where do you need to focus, especially for the end of the school year, right? This is the last push before finals. Kids are about to take APs. And, you know, we've got the kids that are juniors that are taking the ACT and the SAT.
All at the same time.
Right? There's just a million things going on. And what are they capable of being able to do at 100%? Not everything. And this is where we talk about as ed therapists, where we need to, with our students, help them cut some corners. How much time you should really be spending on an assignment, especially if it's credit, no credit. Those kinds of questions I am coming across a lot with students who haven't really thought about down the line, how much effort is really important for this. And I think that directly plays into how much bandwidth we have then for other things. So we need to be cognizant about what we really need to do, why we really need to do it, how we're really going to do it. And that looking down the line, also remembering as ed therapists, how far your student has come. Do you need to sprint to the finish line?
When to push.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a matter of when do you push and when do you acknowledge what has already taken place and what has already happened. And as the ed therapist, we get to make that determination and then coach the parents that we work with to be along for that journey. But here's the other thing that I'll add. It's our job as ed therapists to also examine bandwidth when you are taking maybe a lack of progress with a learner personally. So that's always something to look at. And we've done an episode on this recently of like what to do when you feel like progress isn't happening as the ed therapist. We'll link that episode in the show notes to this episode in case you haven't had the opportunity to hear that. But that's a really important consideration and looking at the larger context of what is going on with the learner. It's not always and usually not about you. I know we're all the center of our own universe, but we're the center of nobody else's universe. So it's a reminder for us when you are seeing these signals from the learner, they're tired, they're not meeting expectations the way that they had been, they are so over it. Frankly,
I don't blame them.
I don't blame them. We feel very similarly. We're always excited to come into summer, and in the same way that student will have bravado about going into the year and it being different, I get excited about a new school year and all the opportunity that can bring. But it's because I've had some time to regroup. So it's just a reminder that when the progress isn't happening as fast as you want, to examine yourself in that element and then look at the larger context and the larger picture. What's going on for that student? What's happening for them? And what's happening in the life cycle of the academic year?
And what's happening in the life cycle of the academic year also goes into what happens with that specific class or that specific teacher. A lot of teachers start to push tests because they didn't get through the curriculum fast enough. So they start test.
Exactly.
Some just start doing project after project after project, or it slows down. I mean, it just depends on the class, the grade, the teacher, the school, the situation. But I think mostly what I'm trying to say is things look different every year. So you can't say, but last year this happened. It's going to be different every time, but the consistency of, okay, let's take a step back. What's the goal? What are we working on? What do we actually need to get done before the end of the school year? And what can be pushed off to, we can deal with that next school year so that we can at least end the school year on a high note is important.
This just happened with a current client of mine, and we were noticing some bandwidth issues. I mean, they were noticing it as well. And in talking to the parents, I was very honest that I thought the things that they were wanting to see were not realistic in this moment for them. And they're coming into APs, and this learner's focus is exactly where it needed to be, which maybe wasn't in alignment with where the parents were wanting to see some extra schmoozing with teachers and all the good habits of studenting that the student just happened to innately do anyway. But there is an opportunity to have that conversation about bandwidth because, like Steph said, parents are feeling it too. Mm-hmm. Anything else you would add about bandwidth, Steph?
No, I think this is just us bringing to light to like think about it.
Yeah. Sometimes we do these episodes because it's something we're thinking about, and let's all sort of collectively have a moment together of just acknowledging what is hard about right in this moment. And then, and this is really important in that collaborative relationship with your learner where you're co-creating the educational therapy experience, right?
Yep.
The acknowledgement with them, and then what do they need to refuel? That is realistic.
Yeah.
Because not going to school for a week is not often realistic.
Right. And sometimes it's time. Sometimes it's shifting focus. Sometimes it's doing something fun. Sometimes it's just, okay, we need to do this and get through it and have some grit about it. And then we will recover because there will be some time so soon.
Totally. And it's such a great opportunity to really explore their introvertedness versus extrovertedness. So an introvert is someone who refuels being alone, which is what I am, but I'm an outgoing introvert. So I refuel by being alone, but I'm outgoing. I think sometimes people get confused about extrovertedness and introvertedness. Extroverts get fueled by being around people, and that refuels them. For me, that drains me. Steph, what are you?
Oh, for sure. I am an introvert in that regard as well. I definitely need alone time and just calm sometimes. So
yes, quiet.
Yeah. You know, and maybe you haven't had a conversation with your learner if you're a parent, if they are an introvert or extrovert, or if you have even thought about it. So I think that's another part of this, to just take a step back and think for a second about what's working, rather than, you know, a lot of times we get on autopilot by this time of the year and we need to take a step back.
Yep. With that, have a great week, Smarties.
Have a great week.